Rachel leaned back against the soft velvet squabs of the carriage seat and stifled a sigh. She glanced across at Gabriella, who was curled up in a corner of her seat, asleep. She envied the girl the easy sleep of youth. Rachel had not been able to fall asleep, despite the monotonous rumbling of the coach. She could not dismiss the odd feeling of ennui, even sorrow, that had plagued her ever since they'd left Westhampton yesterday morning. When Michael had handed her into the carriage, she had felt a distinct urge to turn back and say that she had decided to delay her trip for a few more days. But of course, that had been impossible. She had already put it off 3 days longer than she had planned. She had to get Gabriella back to her guardians. They were waiting for her at Darkwater. A shout outside the carriage startled Rachel from her reverie, and she lifted a corner of the curtain to look out. She could see nothing but the dusk of evening, the branches of the nearby trees a darker shape against the greyness. Then there was a shout from the coachman, and the carriage lurched forward. In the next moment, Rachel heard the sharp report of a gun. She dropped the curtain with a gasp. The coachman's voice rang out, calling to his horses, and the carriage jerked and jolted to a halt. Rachel grabbed the leather loop beside her seat and held on. Across from her, Gabriella let out a squeak of surprise as she tumbled unceremoniously to the floor. The girl scrambled back up onto the seat and turned to look at Rachel, wide-eyed. "What is it?" Gabriella whispered. "What happened?" "I don't know." Rachel tried not to let her fear show. She could think of no good reason for the sound of gunfire or the coachman yanking his animals to a stop. What came to her mind was highwaymen, although it seemed bizarre to find them this far from London. She heard voices and turned toward the door, her fingers curling into the palms of her hands. She would be brave, she thought, reminding herself that she had Gabriella now to look out for, and she tried to envision what her redoubtable sister-in-law, Miranda, would do, or her friend Jessica, with her soldier's daughter's courage. But she could not help a brief, desperate wish that Michael had decided to accompany them to Darkwater. The door opened, and a black-clad figure stepped inside. Rachel struggled to keep her expression neutral. He was a smallish man, she told herself, and it was only the black attire and the scarf across the bottom of his face that made him seem sinister. She would give him her money and he would leave, and the incident would be over with no harm to anyone.